Hello everybody and welcome back. As always, I am Mateo311 and this is your channel for everything VR related. Today, we have a review of Shock Troops, and this game is absolutely perfect for what it is, even managing to surpass my expectations. Now that being said, this definitely isn't a genre-defining shooter, nor will the retro aspects appeal to everyone, but overall, it is a very solid title. So if you're still interested in learning more about this game, stick around for my standard spoiler-free review format, followed by some narrated gameplay. Before we get into this, I'm really curious what you guys think about the retro graphics. Do you hate them or love them? Please let me know in the comments right now. Now, there are, of course, links and timestamps in the description if you want to jump around, but let's start things off with the summary. Shock Troops is a retro-inspired VR shooter available for the Quest 2 for $9.99. It features 4 uniquely distinct levels, chopped up into 4 separate parts, or more importantly, 4 to 6 hours of overall gameplay. Levels vary greatly both cosmetically and mechanically, so you'll never know what exactly to expect, but you will encounter numerous enemies that are clearly inspired by classic FPS titles such as Duke Nukem 3D, Quake, and Wolfenstein. There's also some clear nods to the Alien series. Besides retro-style graphics that work surprisingly well in VR, the game also offers a lot of variety rather than being a simple rinse-and-repeat shooter. You have the option of playing as 3 separate characters, each with their own unique special ability. There are permanent mini-buffs that can be found exploring certain levels. The game's graphics are a mixture of 3D environments and 2D sprites, something older first-person shooters were known for. Now for me, this works surprisingly well in VR, while maintaining some nostalgic visuals. Now for younger gamers, something like those 2D sprites might just look awkward, so that's why we're moving into my personal experience now. As someone who grew up loving Duke Nukem 3D, Wolfenstein, and Quake, I was absolutely intrigued when I saw the first trailer for Shock Troops. I had certain expectations going in, and they were easily surpassed. Shock Troops doesn't try to be the best new shooter, push graphics to the max, or even create new mechanics. The developers fully embraced the limitations of the Quest 2 and just aimed to make a really cool retro-style shooter, and lucky for us, they succeeded. While some retro aspects like slow-moving bullets that you basically need to curve, flat enemies, and seemingly dumb AI may not appeal to everyone, they definitely capture the old-school essence. Most importantly though, the game is a mechanically sound shooter that doesn't allow you to just mindlessly stomp your way through. You're constantly ambushed by enemies, you need to cautiously enter new areas, and when you can't locate an enemy quick enough, the time to kill for them to take you down is pretty damn quick. Now in a title with such a low price tag, I was expecting a constant regurgitation of the same material. Instead, every single level is absolutely unique. You'll have to survive a high-speed train ride, escape a facility that's filling up with lava, take down a random boss enemy, or just protect yourself from a swarm of incoming enemies by making sure some auto turrets are stocked with ammo. I truly enjoyed the game's scope and variety, as it's something we see less and less often these days. Now, I would have liked to see a larger variety in enemies and weapons, but those are my only real complaints. So the next question is, do I recommend this title? At $9.99, it's basically a bargain and a really fun ride. Now, if you're looking for a massive amount of storytelling, depth, or complexity, you will be disappointed, but it honestly delivers a lot more than I expected. So if you're just looking for a fun shooter to spend a few hours in, or maybe something that'll scratch your retro shooter itch, then go check out Shock Troopers. Okay, so let's move into the full verdict. Shock Troops is a mechanically sound, retro-inspired shooter with a surprising amount of content and variety at a very low price tag. It'll make you feel like you're inside a classic shooter like Duke Nukem 3D, and the pros include fun gameplay, a large amount of mission variety, excellent sound design, and retro graphics. On the con side, I would have liked to see more weapons and enemies, and the retro elements may not appeal to everyone. Okay, so let's move into some narrated gameplay so you guys can see what I've been talking about. So viewing these graphics on flat screen, they might not look like anything special, but they do pop in VR, and there's just some really good overall design here, and I just want to give you a few separate clips to show how every single level basically stands on their own. The first level has a spooky alien on a spaceship vibe to it.
Commander, step on the telepod. It will allow you to resume your mission in case you get killed in action.
When we're outside on some planet surfaces, you can see how we're constantly getting ambushed. We have to watch out for snipers and meteors falling from the sky. The high-speed train ride was pretty intense, with enemies constantly spawning in around you. And here's a cool random boss fight.
Defensive laser ready. Target locked. Fire. Warning. Oculus component destroyed. Warning. Target locked. Fire. Warning. Massive damage.
Now, most of the levels are non-linear, so there are separate paths to get to the end, but if you take the time to explore and backtrack, you can find some permanent buffs. Now, even with these cartoony retro graphics, there is a distinct horror vibe at times, and I found it impressive how they were still able to pull that off. Now, if we analyze these enemies, they always draw me back to classic shooters. These guys remind me of the cops from Duke Nukem 3D. This is clearly a Wolfenstein super soldier, and these dudes came right out of Quake. Now, I really don't want to give away too much of this title, but I hope I showed off enough to accurately portray this game. If you have any questions, please let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing. Okay, everybody, I'll see you guys on next time.